is there a specific population? I know we just described that, anybody that has a body, but then you said when you're young, I mean, is there a time, should you start when you're young? Should you start when you start having pain? What
Yeah,
would you say would be the population type?
that's a good question. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good question because it's been my experience that people who are older generally are more interested in this because they're having issues. When you're younger and somebody says, you know, I can improve your walking gait, yeah, not necessary because you know I can walk. It's not a problem. Little small kids are fun to work with because you can make it fun and they get it more, you know, than the ones in the late teens, 20s, 30s, you know, that are pretty much they're like, okay, this is, you know, this is what I got, this is what I have, but not understanding that as you get older, you may want to improve function.
Right, yeah, I guess typically people start to be curious when the pain starts to show up, which is too bad. But at the same time, yeah, this is something that should be, I suppose, taught in school from the beginning, because when we're young, we're taught sports, but we're not really taught how to properly move, which
No,
should be fundamentally where we should start.
that's what I would like to see happen. You know, Feldenkrais or Alexander or any of the somatic therapies should be offered in school before sports and calisthenics and whatnot, and it might even interest more people than sports might interest because some people are not don't want to do that. They have no inclination to be competitive or
But like you said, the small kids, there is no really judgment around it when you're such a young age. So it would be a fun activity to do for really young kids. And when we say young kids, can you give an age frame, for example?
okay. Well, yeah, I would say, you know, anytime in the early teens is a good time to start. Like I used to go pick up my sons at school years ago when they were going to school, and I would go and get there early, and I would observe these young kids walking around. And one of the things that I observed, and now I see it's, you know, talked about more, but is the kids that would have these backpacks on, these very heavy backpacks. When I was a kid, you kept everything in your locker, you carried one book, or you didn't carry anything. You know. Now they put everything in the backpack and they carry on their back. And what is happening is, in order to counter that weight on their back, they toe in, they bring their toes in, pigeon toe, you know, face them in, which is worse than going out. Going out, yeah, you can get away with that, but towing in is very detrimental to the body. So you can observe this yourself. Watch kids who carry in the backpack, and they will tow in in order to balance that, and then that's just going to disrupt the whole pattern, you know, of movement. So if you can, you know, get those kids and get them, you know, to get quiet for a minute, get lay on their backs and see that, you know, that you can direct the feet and knees, you know, and maybe help them to understand that carrying so many books on their back is not a good idea.
Yeah, hopefully, I mean, the education can look a little bit more at that. I was actually, I mean, even in my time going to school, I had really heavy backpacks, and when I went into middle school,
Yeah,
there was an experimental uh, class that was being done. It was to go to school with a laptop. So the school was providing a laptop, and you would take notes on your laptop, and it was supposed to make your backpack lighter, or you don't even need to bring your backpack. We were in the newspaper, there was a whole thing about it. There was just that one experiment in my middle school back then. So I was I don't know, 13, 14 maybe.
Mhm.
But in the end, what really happened is that we had to carry in the laptop and the backpack. So it was like I mean, it was nice in the papers, I suppose, but you still ended up having to carry so much weight. So yeah, I totally understand the kids are carrying so much these days.
Yeah, and then of course there's the whole thing with cell phones and general
Spending.
looking at screens. Yeah, forward head positions and you know, I mean, it's simple a simple thing of, you know, teaching somebody to just lift their screen up a little bit and, you know, oh, okay, here, you know, so much better than here, you know.
Yeah, I actually have my laptop on a elevated platform to be more facing forward instead of down. It's a great little platform.
I fortunately don't spend a lot of time on computers or telephones, but I have spent 45 years leaning over a massage table, and I go get massages from people sometimes, and I look at how much they're struggling and how hard they're working and how they're, you know, I want to help them. I would love to teach in a massage school, teach some of the stuff that I know we used to call a core movement massage, you know, the, you know, if you can learn to, you know, to move your, you know, get your power from your feet rather than from your shoulders or from, you know, from this kind of movement, you know, you can become so much more efficient and you can last. You know, people always say to me, you know, how are your wrists, how are your, everything, you know, lasts for me. I don't think it would have if I had not discovered this. And if I can put in a plug for core movement integration, it is the work of Dr. Joseph Delagrati. You can find him online. There are YouTube videos, and there's a website that has a lot of DVDs and a lot of downloads. As I said, the Feldenkrais method, there was not a lot of visual learning. It was mostly done. He would do these 45-minute or longer awareness through movement classes, which were just directed from him sitting there telling people, you know, you move your right arm, slide your fingertips along the floor, you know, in this particular direction, and just get a sense of you know, how that's happening, and then it continues on from there. So I just want to, you know, make sure that people know that that's where they can get more information on.
Yes, and we'll recap that also at the end of our talk to make sure people know if they're curious and
If they're curious.
where they can find either practitioner or, I mean, YouTube, of course, and his class that he founded, right? He's the founder of Core Movement Integration.
He is the founder of Core. He was a direct student of Moshe Feldenkrais back in the 70s, 1970s. So long time he was a.
I'm going to go back just a little bit on what we were talking earlier. I think you answered it, but again, just to make sure we're covering the full spectrum. What are the common conditions that you see nowadays that from people that are reaching out to you for your help?
Well, yeah, okay, thank you. You know, the most common is neck and shoulder tension, you know, of course, from sitting or, you know, whatever activity it is that that's getting at. So yes, that is the main thing. So stemming from that, then you get people who are having carpal tunnel problems, thoracic outlet problems, other areas of discomfort that, like, I can give you, for instance, when I was working with Joseph up in Boston, I'll give you for instance, I was having a lot of shoulder pain when I was walking. Even though I was like doing some of the stuff, I was like, what is going on? And he basically said to me, your shoulder is not being supported. So if your shoulder goes out in front of your ribs, it's not supported. And this is a very common, you know, posture for people, is the shoulders are forward and the neck is crunched, and you know, the ribs are the supporting structure for the shoulders. The whole arm and shoulder girdle, everything is supported on the ribs. So if they're forward, then you got no support. But learning to do that takes some practice, either with somebody giving you some hands-on guidance, or you know, just learning these simple movements, or going to any Feldenkrais practitioner, Alexander, or any of the somatic arts. Somatic is a term that was coined by a fellow named Thomas Hanna, who was also a student of Moshe Feldenkrais. And it basically means, you know, the mind-body connection. You know, if you can change, you know, change something in your mind, you can change it in your body, you know, and vice versa. You know, so.
Yes, and not right on that topic, but as you were talking about earlier, so people that comes to you are typically the neck and shoulder tension posture that is not correct. Are we talking about, I'm sure it encompasses everything, but I'm still going to ask for the heck of it. Are we talking about chronic pain? Are we talking about, you know, post-injuries or injury prevention or rehabilitation? Does it apply to all?
It does apply to all of that, but yeah, but mostly we're looking at, you know, the chronic conditions, you know, the chronic knee problems, the chronic neck problems that can be resolved. You know, there you can go and have somebody work deeply on these areas, and they may get resolved, but it will be temporary. This is more about lifetime, you know, lifetime correction. You know, like that fellow that I said that was that ended up crying on the table there because this movement was so simple, and like, how come I didn't know this? Once he did that, once that happened, it's there forever. It's embodied. It's not. He doesn't have to go looking for it again, you know, because it's just there, you know. And that's like for me, you know, I move ways now that they're embodied. I don't think about it. You know, getting up and down off the floor, getting in and out of a bed, in and out of a car, that has all through practice has become
your natural way.
Yeah, more efficient. I mean, yeah, I just watch, you know, I like to watch people, and so I see, you know, so many areas where I could help, but right now I'm not doing too much of that. I hope to get
Back
get yeah, back to that, you know. Like I said, teaching at the massage school in town here would be great. Working with, you know, more dancers, more young athletes would be
yes, because if we have the time at the end, I would like to ask you about how are you planning to pass on your knowledge. But before that, I do have a couple other questions that I think will fit right into what you're saying to right now is how does the core movement integration differ from the popular yoga, Pilates, or physical therapy that everyone knows? But also, how does CMI integrate with the other fitness and therapeutic modalities? So just to be clear, how is it different than the yoga and the popular physical therapy or chiropractic?
Yeah.
And also, how does it integrate best with other therapeutic modality, like you said, the massage?
Yeah. yeah.
I hope I'm not too confusing here.
No, that's a good question. Thank you. And you know, that is often, you know, people will come in and they'll say, well, I stretch, or you know, I do yoga, so you know, I'm okay with that, you know. However, it's about your, like for instance, stretching. I was just listening to Joseph talk this morning. He doesn't do a lot of stretching. I do some stretching, but stretching is kind of the end part of movement. You know, when you get to the end of movement, then you go a little bit further. That's stretching. Um, I like to teach people. I like to use the term lengthening. Is what core, you know, movement integration is about. So if you're doing yoga, you know, if you're focused on just, you know, getting the backs of your hamstrings to you know, stretching those things like adversarial, you against your hamstrings. If you can find a way to move somewhere else in your body that may cause that area to lengthen, like hamstrings, for instance, you know, if you can change your relationship with your pelvis, those hamstrings can then just lengthen. They don't have to be stretched. A lot of times, like with massage therapy or physical therapy or chiropractic, you know, if you come in to see somebody, like say for a wrist issue, they're going to go to that wrist issue and they're going to, you know, they're going to work on it. Mm-hmm. Rather than try to begin to understand, you know, how that thing ravels and unravels from the basically the spine is it's the driving force of all this, you know. So I know physical therapists, a lot of in the classes that I used to attend, there were massage therapists in there, but a lot of them were physical therapists, and because they get a little frustrated with just, you know, giving somebody some exercises to do, which may be helpful or whatever, but if you can get somebody to really move more efficiently, then, you know, that's going to be more of a benefit.
Yeah,
so
it just sounds like it's the key to a lot of issues, really, that people will experience in their life, just because it sounds like it has been a forgotten practice.
Yeah. If we can say, let's just for instance, right here, as I'm sitting here right now, if I wanted to side bend, you know, bend to the side, I can do that by having my weight on the hip that I'm bending to, and there's a certain amount of opening on the side of my body that happens as I lean into there. Now, if I get into that position and then shift my weight to the other side, you can see that there's actually more lengthening happens on this side of my body. So just learning that for somebody is it's so helpful. It's so, you know, that's when the lights, you know, the aha moments happen, you know.
Right, that's the word I was looking for, is the aha moments. But yeah, to me, again, I see you doing it. I just feel like if you ask me to do it, it probably won't look as good.
Well, at first, it's gonna feel odd and funny, but eventually it does become, you know, part of it.
Yeah, I think it's really a practice until you get this aha moment.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it, and that's what I've loved about everything that I've studied. You know, yoga, going back to yoga, going to the martial arts, to Aikido in particular. That's been my passion for 45 years. But just in there, I'm still learning. You know that, you know, how, you know, the moment you begin to struggle, everything changes, and it, you know, so you know, so if we can learn to, you know, just move without struggle, without struggle, it's.
So would there be any restriction or counter indication? Is that how you would say? Or
Contraindication, sure. Contra. Yeah.
contraindication or situation where it would not be applicable? Because so far it seems like everybody would benefit from it.
Everybody could benefit. I mean, if you're going to do a group class, you know, generally you need to be able to get up and down off the floor. You know, that's, you know, a requirement for that. There are classes that are done, like I said, you can do a sitting class that's, you know, just primarily sitting. So that's good for anybody. And as far as walking, everybody walks. So if you can do, if I can do, you know, one movement with somebody that where they're, you know, standing up near a wall and they can, you know, just feel the efficiency of their movement while they're holding onto a wall, they don't have to worry about falling down and then they can take that out on the road, if so to speak, you know, and take it out for a test drive. You know? So that's generally like when I used to take classes in Boston, that's what I always used to do. I would take these classes. Sometimes we would be there in there Friday night, then all day Saturday, and then part of the day on Sunday. Often after that, like that Saturday class, I would go out for a walk afterwards and just like begin to embody all that I had learned. And it was so much fun, and the aha moments that would happen, you know, when the you know the tailbone starts, you know, doing this instead of, you know, not moving, you know, it's exciting, and when the, you know, when you get this what they call a two path where, you know, where you're getting some flexion in your spine coming through, you know, coming through your ribs. When you get that movement and it's coming from your feet, and you suddenly start to go faster and easy and fun, you know, it's exciting. So
yes, it doesn't sound exciting to start. I mean, it's almost like I would like to practice it tonight just to see where I stand. So we're getting towards the end of this interview. I have 4 more questions.
okay.
You.
Thank you.
The first one of those 4 is there any easy movement that someone can start doing at home as a regular practice? Or maybe like a fundamental movement that should be acquired for anybody that is interested in this practice?
Right.
Or if you have also an example of a reliable YouTube channel that they can refer to.
Oh, yes. As far as a YouTube channel, you know, it would be to look up Dr. Delagrati, Core Movement Integration. He just recently put up a bunch of little snippets, 6-minute videos that lead you to his website and his, you know, getting his DVDs or downloads of movement lessons.
I'll put the link of his channel in the description of our interview.
Okay. And so then you asked
an easy movement that someone can start doing at home.
Yeah.
To practice.
Okay. Well, for instance, just sitting, if you are free sitting and you're not, you know, sitting with your back up against something, if you are free sitting, you can see that if you know, roll forward on your pelvis or, you know, roll forward, that, you know, you can have the well, this is an easy one. I mean, let's do this. This is I like this a lot. When I used to do sitting classes, if you put one hand at your, you know, at your belly and one hand at your chest, and then lean back, often ask people, to notice that space between your hands when you lean back. And you can lean back and not have anything happen there, but you can also lean back and have that area lengthen, right? So I can lean back, and that is extension of the front of the spine, to get that lengthening to happen. And then conversely, when you roll back on your pelvis, you can get that area to shorten, but that means that the spine is lengthening. So you got spine and front of the body lengthening here, and then when you go this way, you got spine lengthening in back and shortening in front. So, just playing with that movement, getting comfortable with that.
Can I ask for myself as I'm doing this movement as you described, if I were to, so I'm free sitting, both feet on the ground, I have my two hands here and I'm going so forward, or I expand here.
Yeah.
I start, it's not pain, but I start that there is something in my lower back. Is it normal? Like if somebody were to really force
Well, then, and this is the key to doing these things too, is that there should be, if you're getting to where it hurts, then you're going too far, or you're efforting too much. So then I would just advise somebody to do less. You can make this movement very, very, very small. I'm doing it right here now, just very, very small movement. And I can get more probably out of that than if I do, big movements, like just getting that, understanding in there. Here's an easy example, and I would often have, somebody come into the office, say they wait tables or something, and they're having difficulty carrying a tray or whatever. And I will tell them, to turn their head to the right, turn their head to the right. And what I often will see is that the right shoulder will come forward. So people will do this when they're turning to the right, and they're like, oh, I can't go any further than that. It's like, oh. But the limiting factor is that the right shoulder is coming forward. So if I can teach them to turn to the right and let the right shoulder go back, it's like, oh, okay. And then that light goes off and I say, wow, okay, I got that. I can turn. And then if I can connect that to the hip also, then
so if you turn your head to the right, your shoulder is supposed to come
the shoulder should also, it should drop down a little bit, but also it can go back, go back. And you'll see if if you can watch people do that, you can watch people turn, and they will do the up. It's counterintuitive. I mean, it doesn't make sense why you would do that, but people do that. They're like, oh, okay, there's a lot of movements that we make that are counterintuitive. There's so many, like just lifting the leg, for instance, a lot of people are lifting from their lower abdomen and they're creating this tension in there when it's really actually very easy. It comes from the other side, the other foot, and that, you can lift legs. I can take a walk, sitting here like this, my legs, come up effortlessly and easy, shoulders move, head moves, everything's.
Can you describe a typical core movement integration session? So, for example, what a new client of yours could expect during the first 3 sessions?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, depending on what we do, I would, I like to bring people in and just, do a core movement lesson, integration lesson, which means, having them come in and they may just lie on their back on the table. I have them, breathe and get in touch, feel, get a sense of their body. And then may bring, one foot up onto the table and then start to explore the movement that that goes with that. Either me directing. So basically, like the first initial movement that I might do with somebody is they have their knee, they're lying on their back, maybe something under their head, if they're too arched, something under their head, feet on the table, and then just tipping the knees side to side, just doing that. And then getting a sense of, okay, I'm shifting my weight onto my left hip. I'm shifting my weight onto my right hip. Oh, that's interesting. And then, but that means that I'm rolling along a line, to get over to the left side and the right side. And then I begin to notice that as I tip to the right, my left knee is moving forward and down. Like, what's causing that? So see if you can, clarify that movement. And then I may begin to have them turn their head. If their knees are tipping to the right, turn their head in the opposite direction. And then you'll find that you go a little bit more. That movement is called activating the upright response. When I then go from lying on my back to standing up, I'm going to get that upright response that as my spine is going to lengthen rather than this, to collapse. Once you get that thing going, then everything goes up. Gravity is our friend. Gravity pushes us up as well as brings us down. But if you can connect with gravity, it can elevate you.
Well, where can people find you if they were to have this curiosity to start looking into core movement integrations? And maybe if you were willing to say, with what you learned, how do you intend to pass on that knowledge in the future?
Yeah, thank you. Well, we have a website, which is called mindbodyworksmassage.com. You can contact me on there. I'm in Sarasota, Florida, for the past 4 years. We can also, if somebody ever wants to do anything on Zoom, we can do that, because like I said, during COVID, I had a couple of young men, a couple of teenagers that really wanted to learn this stuff, and so we were doing it online. I would observe them, and then I'd give them a little tidbit or a little hint about how to, like, okay, try this,
Yeah, it's great that this can be done online, like
it
for
can be done.
initiation for it, yeah.
Like I said, there are lots of information on the Feldenkrais movement, and then on Joseph Delagraffi's website, Core Movement Integration website. There are a lot of resources on there, and teachers in different states of the country, of his students.
We need to make sure, because sometimes I was wondering, we don't want to find a practitioner that is not really licensed properly, let's say. So we do want to find somebody that is a core movement integration practitioner.
Yeah.
Cool.
There are not a lot of core movement integration practitioners.
Okay.
He has trained quite a few people, and hopefully this will go on, past his lifetime. The other place that you can go, there are a lot, but I'm putting in a plug for the Feldenkrais Guild. There are lots of Feldenkrais practitioners. However, that was one of the reasons that Joseph did what he did and kind of started teaching people independently, is that you will see there are a lot of Feldenkrais practitioners, but not a lot of them are very successful because they're not very good at getting people to understand what the heck they're talking about or what they're doing. So Joseph wanted to make it simpler and more accessible to lay people, not just physical therapists, or not just movement people, regular people. So and also, the Feldenkrais training is 4.5 years of of training, and it's a lot of money and a lot of time. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. So,
All right, well,
all
thank you
right.
so much for all this information. And
You're welcome, Violin. Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
spending all this time with me. I will make this interview available to everyone on my website, and I will send it to you if you want to have it even on your website for educational purposes.
Thank you. I hope it looks good and comes together, and I made some sense somewhere.
You perfectly did. So really, thank you so much for offering me all this time, and I hope people will get curious and get the interest in everything you described. It just seems such an easy thing to do to prevent so much more that can happen down the line. So
I like massage. I like doing massage. I think massage is very beneficial, but I would really love to be doing a lot more of this kind of work, you know, to have people have those aha moments that last a lifetime, you know. Massage, you know, it's temporary.
yeah, I think it sounds very beneficial to everybody. So I will be
Yeah.
talking about it and referring to you,
All right.
and hopefully people will get great success from it. So Byron, really thank you so much, and I'll let you go.
You're welcome. Thank you, Violin.